We're at the Naval Academy. We're at the final resting place of John Paul Jones. We're with Joe Rubino, who's the Chief Financial Officer for the Academy. He's going to give you a little background on this.
This is a 21-ton green marble sarcophagus. It's a gift of the people from the people of France to the United States. They felt close ties to John Paul Jones, so when he was returned here, they gave us this to house his body in the crypt. And it's a Grand Pyrenees marble from the Pyrenees Mountains in France with matching pillars. You notice around the base of the sarcophagus are the names of the ships he commanded during his lifetime. So you can see there Alliance and Alfred in the foreground were two ships that he commanded. And the bronze dolphins underneath and the bronze coral on top is reminiscent of a burial at sea. So it's all in tribute to one of our great naval warriors.
John Paul Jones, front view.
So this is the front of John Paul Jones, and one of the fun facts of John Paul Jones is that while he was alive, he didn't hold the rank of admiral in the U.S. Navy because in our fledgling colonial Navy, they hadn't established that rank yet. But when he went over and fought for the Russians, he was made an admiral by the Tsar, and so he held the rank of admiral in the Russian Navy. Well, mid-last century, and it was actually Catherine the Great of Russia, mid-last century, our Congress took note of the fact that he had a higher rank in the Russian Navy than he had in ours, and they didn't like that. So they posthumously, by act of Congress, promoted him to Rear Admiral. So now by act of law, he's Rear Admiral John Paul Jones, U.S. Navy.
These young folks are the high school seniors that are here for some kind of indoctrination, and so when they get here, they won't just be in shock. They're getting a little real treatment of how it's going to be.
Actually, it looks like they got a few younger ones mixed in. There might be some sports camps mixed in, but most of them would be they finished their junior year, so they're rising seniors that'll come here for a week. And they're all kids that are thinking about applying to Service Academy, particularly Naval Academy, and they come here to get a little taste of it, see what it's like. And so they'll get a little bit of marching, a little bit of class work, a little bit of boat work, so they'll get a feel what it's like to be at the Naval Academy.
Okay, you're on.
So this is the main entrance of Bancroft Hall, and this courtyard in front of it is called T Court, T for Tecumseh, and that was the guy we just talked about a minute ago. Good old Tecumseh. But you look at the detail in this building, the ships coming out of the masonry up in the top of it. The Naval Academy crest is over the main door there. It's a real elaborate, detailed style of architecture. And this was designed by Ernest Flagg, who was a cousin of Cornelius Vanderbilt. And Cornelius had sent him to the L'École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, where he learned the French Beaux-Arts style of architecture. You look at even in the copper around the circular windows at the top of the building, all the really detailed ruffles and flourishes, typical of the French Beaux-Arts style of architecture. And Ernest Flagg designed this whole modern Naval Academy back about turn of the last century, around 1900. And all these buildings around the perimeter, that French Beaux-Arts style. And this was recognized as one of the biggest collections of Beaux-Arts architecture in the country and designated a National Historic Landmark District back in the early 60s.
And these are the dormitories.
So this is Memorial Hall, and it's up in the middle of Bancroft Hall, which is one of the largest dorms in the world. All 65,000 midshipmen live in this dorm. But this particular space is special to Navy folks. Our two probably most special places are John Paul Jones' crib and this room called Memorial Hall, because here we list all Naval Academy grads who have given their lives for their country. And a lot of times when you're lost at sea, or if you're on a submarine that went down or an accident at sea, there might not even be a gravesite. There might not be a body to recover because you're in the bottom of the ocean. So for Naval Academy folks, this is that place where you can go and remember all of your fallen comrades. So around the perimeter of the walls, we have tablets that list the names by class year of all of the Naval Academy grads who gave their lives in the line of duty. And then the center of the room is a KIA memorial. That tablet lists Naval Academy grads who actually died in combat. And so this particular room, and of course the Don't Give Up the Ship is kind of the focal point. The flag memorializes all Naval Academy grads who've gone to serve the country and never returned.
Whatever you say.
Okay, so we're in the main chapel of Naval Academy, and this was designed by Ernest Flagg, who's the same guy that was a cousin of Cornelius Vanderbilt. So that French Beaux-Arts style. And I started there on the main window above the altar. But these windows here are really taxpayer treasures. These are all Tiffany windows from the turn of the last century, except for the exception of this one I just passed by. That's a Gorham window, and it shows Admiral Farragut below in the rigging of his ship with the Winged Victory above him. This is designed by Louis Tiffany for the Naval Academy, a Tiffany window. This one is the Galahad window. It depicts a Knight of the Round Table. It's a Tiffany window. This is Winged Victory over a Christ as a Fisher of Men motif down below. So these are all turn of the last century Tiffany glass. In fact, if you look closely beneath the feet there of Christ on the water, there's a wreath, and there's a 69 in a wreath. That's because that window was a gift of the class of 1869 to the Naval Academy when this chapel was built in 1904. And one of the unique aspects, you see that all the detail in this French Renaissance style, and those columns above the rail there that support the chapel dome. Each of those columns has a different face in it, and they're supposed to represent the different races of man holding up the constellation of the heavens. So a lot of heavy symbolism here. Again, panning the back, there's a ship up in the back, a votive ship that was to remember the folks in peril on the sea and our places of worship, and all of the banks of the organ. You can see those silver pipes, and let's pan back to the front. The gold banks of pipes, the silver banks of pipes on each side of the altar. There's 6,700 pipes in this organ system here. It's one of the larger ones in the country, so a really spectacular chapel and really a taxpayer treasure.
Today is Wednesday. We had the tour with Joe yesterday. This is the Ship Model Museum in the museum here at Annapolis. And I wanted to show you this. These models are exact models of ships that were actually being built as they were being built. They didn't have engineering drawings and all that stuff, so they built these exactly as the ship was being built to guide them. They didn't do blueprints and all that. I'm just going to walk around and look at some of these things, but these are actual models. And they had recently they ran orthoscopic tubes down below, and the details down below matched exactly the actual ship, curved alcoves and storage places, etc. But I just thought this was interesting enough to come back over here. But all of these were made as kind of working models, and they were built as the actual ships were being built. This just fascinated me. They're giving a tour over there. I don't want to interfere with that. But these ships are amazing. There's a mural on the wall as they're building a ship. Okay, that says it enough, I think. One more little snippet. Here's one that was under construction and terminated for some reason. But these are just amazing. These are exact replicas of the ships that were actually built. Here's a little collection of ships that was built by prisoners of war. They built them out of chicken bones and horse hair and all that stuff, just to pretty much have something to do since they were POWs. All right, we're at the crossroads of the middle of the Naval Academy. I'm looking down here at Mahon Hall. Currently there's an 1812 display, a War of 1812 display going on, which was loaned to the Academy by William Koch, one of the Koch brothers. This is the chapel where the crypt of John Paul Jones is. That's the beginning of this video. This is Mahon Hall right here. We're approximately 6,500. Yesterday Joe said 65,000. That was, he just misspoke. 6,500. Bancroft Hall, where 6,500. It's a dormitory. Students are housed. All of the plebes here, midshipmen, are housed there. And that's looking out at the Radford Terrace at the Severn River. Right over there on those steps marks the old water line. They filled in a bunch of this place, but that guy, a professor here, calculated the speed of light right over there. Pretty interesting. So that's it for this video. Pretty historic. We enjoyed being here, and Joe Rubino just did a great job. So I'm gonna wrap this up as of right now. Okay, this is a quick little wrap up. We're leaving Annapolis Harbor right now. That tour of The Academy by Joe Rubino was just amazing, and they bought us dinner last night at the yacht club, which was uncalled for, but they certainly did and insisted. And Amy, his wife, and Connie, his sister, and Jessica, their lovely daughter. It was so nice. They're just great folks. But here we go. We're going over across the bay to Chester, and I need a little bit of service work, 100-hour service work on my engines. I haven't spent quite enough money, so I was going to try to throw a little on top. But this is officially it for this video.